says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen." So, like I said earlier, how we're going to be, in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to be like how King Solomon was, well, also King David, you know, um, the Israelites, above all nations, and the nations serving us, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom, and of all the heathen, which are called by my name, saith the Lord that doeth this. So we're going to possess the other nations. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and the hills shall melt. So we're going to overtake, the plowman shall overtake the reaper, because Jacob is at the bottom right now. We're the workforce, we're the plowman, and Esau, Edom, and the other nations uh, are reap off of, our labor. So days come where it's going to flip flop. Israel is going to be back on high. And I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel. They shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. So, we're gonna start seeing the fruits of our labor, so to speak. Which we don't right now, because we're slaves under Esau. Everything that we work for is directly benefiting Esau, Edom, and we don't benefit at all. We're working to survive and surviving to work, or living to survive and surviving to live, or however the fuck the saying goes. You get what I mean. And I will plant them upon their land. They shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith the Lord that power. So we're not going to go into servitude anymore. We're not going to be plucked out of our land. We're not going to be having to borrow from, another nation. Let's go back to Deuteronomy. Where was that? Oh yeah, I wanted to get Deuteronomy 28. Because whenever you bring up Deuteronomy 28, I know brothers think of the curses, which is verse, 15 down to 68, which is the curses that came upon the Israelites, which is on us right now. This is why we're not in rulership right now. And that's how we identify, Israelites out there. It's because we know that they're under the curses. But in the kingdom, it's a good read, verse 1 through 14, to meditate upon, how things are going to be in the kingdom, and also the law, because the laws are going to be written on our inward parts. That's the best blessing ever, in the kingdom of heaven, is, just being righteous, being delivered from the wicked thoughts that we have to deal with and stuff. But Deuteronomy 28 and 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, like it's supposed to be. That's also Psalm 1. It might be 2. Second. It might be the second chapter, but yeah, it's the second chapter. Psalm 2 and 8. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, which means rule over them whenever they get, we're going to be, the judges and enforcers of the Heavenly Father's laws. So if they ever get out of line, well, that's why we're going to break them, just like, any other wild animal, like horses. When you look at all that cowboy shit. To they don't just throw a saddle on a horse and they're tamed. No, man, they capture a horse. They gotta break it. They gotta break the colt. Bronking Bronco. If you ever watch it, man, they they throw a saddle on it and they want to buck that saddle off. Before even a person gets on it. Then once they get used to the saddle, that's when you have to climb up on it. And sometimes, sometimes they even like strap people on it. They have to like duct tape and like tie knots like around their hand to the saddle, and that horse is trying to buck it off until it tires itself out and gets used to somebody on the back of it. And then even then, you still have to ride it for a long time, yada yada yada. Uh, but anyways, that's what we're gonna be doing to the heathens, in similar fashion. We're gonna have to break them, man. We're gonna have to break them. We're gonna have to beat these laws into them, because they're not gonna take part of that new covenant, because that new covenant is only for Israel. Being programmed to be righteous. So they're gonna, they're gonna have to learn the hard way. But yeah, the main point, we're gonna be over the heathen. We're gonna be lending to them. And they're not gonna be lending to us. This is Leviticus 25, and I'll start at 35. It says, "And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee." So if there's any, in the ancient world, if there was any poor Israelite, you were supposed to take him in, have him live with you, and give them, some work and pay them, just like you would a family member. You wouldn't want to see them struggle like that. It says you're supposed to relieve them. Take thou no usury of them. Of course, that's like the third time I think I read it in the law. They're not supposed to take usury to an Israelite or increase, but fear thy power, that thy brother may live with thee. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, or lend him thy victuals for increase. So very plain, you know. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is also going into the year of release, or the Sabbath year. Leviticus 25 and 4. Or I'll start at 3. It says, 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard. And pruning is just like trimming it, you know. Like if you have landscaping, it overgrows and might start growing into your house, you're supposed to trim it or prune it. Then with those trimmings, if you if you cut off a branch at the node, you can plant it, a certain depth into the ground, and it can grow into a tree. So you can have another tree, or whatever you want to do with it. You can use it as firewood, whatever. But yeah, so 6 years you're supposed to sow, prune it, trim it, harvest, gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. So in the 7th year, you're not supposed to, make trimming, trim it up, or plant any more seeds. You're supposed to kind of let it go wild, and that what that does is it lets the, kind of let nature run its course and balance itself out. I'm trying to think of like, because if you don't, then that's how certain famines start. Like I could tell you right now, this is me kind of speaking as a man, but it makes sense, right? So the plague of locusts that happened in the the land of Egypt. You know, that was most likely due because the uh, there's an over there's an overgrown amount of whatever locusts feed on, which is most likely some sort of grass. You know, and a way to balance that out is if you take the land Sabbath and kind of let survival of the fittest happen, biodiversity. So there's not like a over amount of locusts. And then like, because if there's an over amount of locusts, then they're going to eat all that grass away and then, damage the ecosystem even more. So to keep it, balanced, you just take a year off and kind of let, you know, things grow wild. uh, and then verse 5, that which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it is a year of rest unto the land. Yeah, just not, letting the land replenish of its nutrients, the soil of its nutrients. That's also what happened in the Dust Bowl, during the, right before the Great Depression, or if it was during the Great Depression, 1930s, because they're fucking, reaping the soil too much, you know. Same thing in parts of Mississippi. You got like uh, this certain clay. It's like red clay. The reason why is because fucking dude, that shit sucks, dude. I had to, this one time I was putting up fence posts. I was digging in that Mississippi red clay, and shit, you might have been trying to dig through gravel. But is that way because whatever nutrients were in soil to balance that out to make it soft, it was depleted of those, and that's why it was like red and hard as shit to dig through. But yeah, yeah, I think I went through all the scriptures. I'm missing anything. Yeah, I got it. So that's the law and usury. Main thing: be content with what you have. Um, don't be a user or lend your money as usury to a fellow Israelite, especially a brother in faith. Yeah, be content with what you have, and hopefully I changed your perspective on money. And Lord willing, this was edifying and uplifting. Once again, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Shalom.